You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thanks so much for joining me here today on this Friday review, where we're about to get started with the best of the week. So all of the top products that we're going to be reviewing, I've got some great research for you today. A little scary, but still nonetheless great for us to be going over. And then, of course, our super nutrient of the week. Each and every Friday, I love to bring you one more nutrient, whether it's a vitamin, a mineral, an herb, a neurotransmitter, an amino acid, you name it, we're going to bring you it. And here's why. Because I want you to have the knowledge so that when you're looking at nutritional supplements or you're looking at certain foods, that you know the foods, that you know the supplements, that you know everything that you can get from whether food or supplementation to be able to build your body back up to the strength that it needs in order to boost the immune system, combat cardiovascular disease, prevent high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, you name it. And that's what we do. That's what we go over. Because if we understand that the human body is this beautifully intricate machine that's able to self-regulate itself as long as we give it what it needs, then you understand that really an imbalance of any one of these vitamins or minerals or any type of phytonutrients in the diet that we don't have can lead to the disease itself. So what we want to do first is do our best to try to prevent all disease. But if we have some dis-ease of the body, well, then we can lab test, we can figure out what is it that the body's missing, or what does it have too much of, simply what's out of balance. That's what we look at. That's what we're able to do. And hopefully each and every Friday review, you get one step closer to really understanding how all of these nutrients play a role in our body. Like, that's really it. It's the educational part of it. Love being able to bring that to you. And that's why I'm excited each week to be able to bring you one new one. This week is no different. One of my favorites. So let's get right into it. The first part of our Friday review, I always want to bring you kind of what's new, what's happening in our practice and our online community. And this week, just a couple updates. That's literally a couple updates. I spoke to you probably about a month ago about rose geranium and how I was adding that to my natural tick repellent and mosquito repellent this year. And so we've been putting rose geranium on my dog because that first time we were up about, let's say 8 weeks ago now, 6-8 weeks ago, he got a couple ticks on him. And so now that we've been putting that on him every morning before he goes outside, no more ticks, and there's no wood here for me to knock on. But at the same time, we've all been tick-free as well here in Maine. So really happy to say that has absolutely been working, that rose geranium essential oil. If you didn't hear that podcast, it was about 4 to 6 weeks ago. And you can always just type in rose geranium at stephencabral.com/podcast to get all of the details on that, where I also share my favorite tick and mosquito repellent, all natural, of course, that we put on our kids. I use it myself, and then I use it with my dog as well. So next, what's new, what's happening is this is it. This is the last couple days in order to get your exclusive Equilibrium Nutrition Pro Stack shaker bottle. This is our partnership with Blender Bottle. Amazing 4-in-1 shaker. If you are thinking about doing the Dr. Ball Detox this year, so we have one more coming up in September, the best thing you can do is grab one of these bottles while they're completely free. So this is our limited edition all-white blender bottle, but it's not just a blender bottle. It comes with 2 extra stackers at the bottom that you can put in 2 additional servings of your powder or even nuts, things like that you might want to keep in it as you're traveling throughout the day. They're easy to travel with. They're unbreakable. And also, they have a special compartment to put in your vitamins, especially if you're using the AYU and the FM detox capsules on your detox. Super simple. It gives you 3 full servings you can put in that for your detox, or if you're just on a wellness protocol, or you like to go to the gym and just shake that up as well. You can store anything from your protein powders, your energy powders, your creatine, glutamine, healthy gut support, you name it. You can put it right in there. It makes it really, really easy. I use it myself. I waited 6 months for these to get out, and excited to be able to give them away free this month with all qualifying orders. Simply go to equilibriumnutrition.com to get yours, and you can even get a Dr. Ball Detox there to use this coming, I believe it's going to be September when we do our fall detox as a community again. So excited about that, excited to share that with you, and while supplies last, you can get yours at equilibriumnutrition.com for free. Okay. A lot of people have been asking if I can do a Kratom nutritional supplement-based review. I will be doing that. Most likely it will be coming up this coming Friday, so stay tuned for that. It's called Kratom if you have not heard of it before. A lot of pros, but also a lot of cons, and I want to make you aware of that so that you just don't go out there and start using Kratom, because there are really potentially large side effects that I want you to be aware of. It's not like CBD oil. It's not like cannabis or other things as well. There are potential side effects. I want you to be aware of that. It is an opioid. It's legal right now, although it's actually illegal now in 3 states. And there's pending legislature. Of course, the government's getting involved and looking to ban it from all 50 states. Stay tuned for that. It's called Kratom, and I will review that within the next week or 2. Okay, and last part, CBD oil. We're having a really tough time with our processor getting that back online. I will let you know it's about good news, about 1 week, probably more likely 2 weeks until we get it to you. Of course, because we've unfortunately had to wait on this, we'll bring you a really great offer when we do get it back online. And as you know, our CBD oil is highest quality in the industry, completely organic, CO2 processed. Literally, our certificate of analysis, we're one of the only ones, or if maybe the only one to do this, is actually post our certificate of analysis right on the website, completely free of contaminants like mold, heavy metals. It's under 0.3 for THC, all those great things. Unfortunately, it will still be a couple more weeks. Thank you everyone for your support who've been writing in asking how can I get more. We would love to get it for you today. We really would, but the government likes to get involved with nutritional supplements, even though it's completely legal and even though there's no possible of overdose and it's completely safe. Anyways, that's that. It'll be back soon. Stay tuned on that. All right. First piece of research today for our Friday review. I really wanted to bring you this one. So I have a big list of all different research, short studies that I like to bring you, and so I choose from one of those that I feel is most pertinent. And this week I felt that this was very important since I work with so many couples that really do, and they're going through their infertility basically. They don't want to do necessarily IVF, and they want to try to see if they can get their bodies healthier so they can have a nice, happy, and healthy pregnancy. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. Again, I don't have any problem. I'm happy to support anyone in any method that they want to use to get pregnant. Meaning if they want to do IVF, then great. Let's just help you make sure that you're free of heavy metals, that you have all the vitamins and minerals that your body needs to keep your body strong, of course, for that new life you're bringing into the world. But this one was from men. So there's a study out of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and it was published in the Human Reproduction Update. So what it found was this, is that this was a very large meta-analysis, and it looked over the past 40 years. And it found that from men from 1973 on, this was till about 2011 or just past that, so about 40 years of research, that men in North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand had half the sperm count they did before 1973. Absolutely amazing. Look at that. And they didn't give a reason why. They didn't postulate as to why this might be. But we know, and especially from the clinical research that I've done and the clinical practice that I have here, all around the world, of course, but also in Boston, is looking at it that men can lower their sperm count because of any type of essentially toxicity that affects sperm. Well, what are some of those toxicity? Well, it's heavy metals, and it's higher levels of glyphosate, which is essentially pesticides sprayed on food, so non-organic food. And it's also a lot of plastics in the environment. Okay, it's any toxin, but also plastics in the environment. Now, we don't know if EMFs and things like that affect sperm yet. They may, okay, but I don't have a lot of good research on that yet. I will bring that to you if I do find that. But there's a lot of plastics in the environment that create what's called environmental-based estrogens in the human body. And so they estrogenize the men in general. And what happens is that can affect testosterone counts, that can affect DHEA counts, and it can affect the quality of the sperm itself. So that's important. It's not just the number of sperm, but also the quality of the sperm itself. It's really important to look at. It really is. I know that we have so many men and women that listen to the Cabral concept, but I would say that there's a lot of women who are really kind of looking out for their overall household. And I would say right now that if your partner or husband or boyfriend or any even family member or friend that they should know about this information. Don't wait until it's time to try to have a family, or don't wait until, this really affects a man's overall health, which is like a decrease in libido or decrease in moodiness in general, irritability. Those are all signs that there might be a decrease in testosterone as well. I would really start now, and I would really do something like the Dr. Cabral Detox or your favorite functional medicine detox. Of course, I'm just here to bring you the content, and if you feel the Dr. Cabral Detox is the best fit, then great. If not, that's okay as well. You can always choose the one that you feel is best for you. Another thing that you'll want to do is, on a hair tissue mineral analysis, look at the zinc levels. It's really, really important. Or if you run blood work, look at the alkaline phosphatase levels. That should be at least a 60, okay? And so what you want to look at is, that's a good marker for zinc. And a lot of men that have low zinc, then it leads to poor sperm production. It also leads to poor testosterone. And I would say the same goes with low vitamin C. We know that that's essential for reproductive purposes. It's essential for detoxing the body as well, and for testosterone as well as sperm production. You can find your vitamin C levels as your functional levels on an organic acids test. So that's what we call it, our starter kit, the organic acids test, and it's combined with the hair tissue mineral analysis. If you're debating about what labs to do for overall health, it's those two. Because the organic acids test is going to look at all of your vitamin levels. It's going to look at candida overgrowth, a little bit of Clostridium difficile. It will look at mitochondrial. It will look at neurotransmitter waste markers. Amazing test. 75 biomarkers, believe it or not, just with a small urine sample. So simple, non-invasive. And the other part is this, is the hair tissue mineral analysis. Couple snips of hair, it will let you look at all the minerals in your body. That includes your 4 electrolytes, looking at your body's stress response. And it will look at heavy metals, and that includes arsenic, includes mercury, aluminum, and a bunch of others. So really impressive. And again, all those lab tests, I personally read them, and then you get a call with one of my health coaches to give you my personal recommendations. Along with my health coaches, you get your own plan. Pretty impressive. A lot of fun to provide others as well. So hopefully that research just it's a reality check. This is the world we live in. It's a toxic environment. It really is. If you've read the Rain Barrel Effect, if you've read a lot of research on there, you'll see that, these 77,000 plus man-made chemicals in the environment, they're taking their toll. The government, even the media, is starting to recognize that, okay, these things are affecting us. What do we do? Well, the corporations are not going to stop producing them. So it's our job to take back control of our health. A lot of times that means the seasonal detox. It means using things like the daily nutritional support to get your vitamin C and zinc and vitamin D on a daily basis. Like, all of these nutrients are important, but of course it's looking at, again, what are you deficient in? So important. So actually, before we get to our super nutrient of the week, because that's really, really important too in terms of toxicity, I want to bring you one new product review. This product really, I thought was great, and here's why. For the past, let's say 15 years, whenever I open a package of spinach or lettuce or any one of these things, I put in a piece of paper towel. And the paper towel absorbs moisture. And that moisture then allows that produce to stay fresh for an extra day or two. It works incredibly well. I talked about that many, many years ago when I did my first smoothie video. Well, a new company has actually come up with, they basically one up that idea. And they've come up with something called fresh paper. Now, what you do is you put this fresh paper into any of your produce. You can actually just put it in your produce drawer in your refrigerator, or just like I spoke about, in a container of spinach or lettuce or a bag of whatever, fruit. You pop this in, and what it does is, I believe it also absorbs moisture. I think that's one of the ways that works, because we already know a piece of paper towel works for that. But here's what else it does. It's a natural antimicrobial and antibacterial, and that's because it contains specific organic herbs. And one of those herbs is fenugreek. So we know that from Ayurvedic medicine to also be a great antimicrobial. Now, what it does is, again, this is completely natural. It's compostable. Everything that I've seen on the website so far as I can find from my information, says that it's totally fine and very clean. Again, it's compostable and it is free of any type of plastic. So they give you a bunch of sheets. You can get a 2-pack. I believe, let's say there's 2 different places that you can get it. One, you can get it from Fenugreen, Fenu, green.com. And the other is, of course, right on Amazon. I'm sure you've heard of that website before. I'm going to link up Fenugreen, their fresh paper, and I'm going to also link up the link right on Amazon. Easiest way, of course, to get all of these links, whether it's the rose geranium that I spoke about, the daily nutritional support, the organic acids test, the Dr. Cabral Detox, just simply go to stevencabral.com/903. That is today's episode. That's where all the show notes and links will be. So I checked it out on Amazon as well. I want to see what other people were saying. 4.5 stars, pretty impressive. Smells great from what people are saying. Again, I haven't used it myself. I wanted to bring it to you. I actually have it in my Amazon cart. I'm going to order it myself. So I'll let you know how mine goes on an update, but simply put, I already used the paper towel. This makes sense. You can cut up into smaller sheets so that you don't have to use the whole sheet at once. It lasts a month, so it's certainly not expensive, and it contains Ayurvedic-based herbs like fenugreek. That works for me. I'm going to try it out. I'll let you know how it works as well on a future Friday review where I can give you that update. So again, go to stevencabral.com/903. I'll put all the updates and all the links right there. All right, last but never least, the super nutrient of the week. Let's go over that. So I do not have it in my notes that I've ever reviewed iodine. So iodine is kind of one of these things that we almost never hear about, we never talk about, but believe it or not, anywhere from 72 to 96% of the population is deficient in it from a functional deficiency level. The World Health Organization tested out at 72%, and other functional medicine doctors have looked at all of their clinical-based data, their studies, and looked at potentially up to 96%. What does that mean? Well, it means the majority of people walking around today, let's just say 8 out of 10, are deficient in iodine. And why is this important? Well, because if you're deficient in iodine, it can absolutely and most likely will lead to low thyroid. Okay? It can lead to higher levels of cholesterol and atherosclerosis, some hardening of the arteries, goiter growth in the neck, lowered fertility, we were talking about that earlier, increased infant mortality, fibrocystic breast disease, as well as breast cancer, other types of cancer, especially that come from radiation, so if you're exposed to radiation, stunted growth in children, as well as brain development, nervous system development. Iodine also helps with immune function and detoxing the body, especially, like I said, environmental-based exposures. So some other signs that you might be deficient in iodine are depression, dry skin. So a lot of these, I'm going to go back to this. So a lot of these have to do with the thyroid. Now, hopefully you tuned in 2 days ago where I went over 9 symptoms of a low thyroid. If you did not tune into that, simply go to stevencabral.com/901. Now, on that show, I actually went over 9 silent symptoms of low thyroid. You're going to hear so many of them right here. So essentially, even when you think of high cholesterol, a lot of people don't know this, but high cholesterol can be a symptom of low thyroid. And that's why you have to understand is like, we're given these diseases of the body, right? We're told we have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all the highs, all the lows. But do understand, there's always a reason why. And now if you have low thyroid, well, why do you have low thyroid? Well, one of the reasons is you might have a lack of iodine. Iodine is needed to make thyroid hormone. T4 and T3 come directly from iodine. So that's why it's so important that you have enough iodine. Again, you might be functionally deficient. You might get some iodine, but not enough to keep up with the demands of your body. Really, really important. So again, headaches, memory problems, dry skin, lowered energy, difficulty losing weight, sensitivity to cold, cold hands and feet, brain fog, thinning hair, constipation, kind of stiff joints, tight muscles. How many of those sound like low thyroid? Basically all of those, right? That's why it's so important to understand your numbers. It really is. A few of the others as well. We talked about the thinning hair, talked about the brain fog, but a few of the others, recurrent infections or high cholesterol. We mentioned that. Menstrual-based problems, PMS-based problems. We talked about the memory problems. That's why I talked about that on Wednesday. It's not always Alzheimer's. It's not always dementia. Check your hormone levels as well. The very best test for that, hands down, the very best test in the world is the thyroid adrenal hormone test, okay? Again, none of the lab tests are ours. We don't own any of these lab tests. We just promote the best of the best. Whoever the best is in that specific lab, we switch them. We're actually right now experimenting with a couple new labs. A couple of reasons why. One, they might be able to get the results faster to us, which means we can get the results faster to you. And number two is they may include more markers for about the same price. And if the results are the same, then that's what we're going to be able to bring you. How do we know that the results are the same or better? I spend my own money. I basically do a double blind for this specific labs, which means I take the 2 different labs on the same day from my own sample. I just put them under 2 different names, or if it's 2 different lab companies, simply my name, and I look at the result. And then I've already tested the results for the current lab that we're using. And so I know that works for sure. And then I test that against the new lab. So I'm excited to be able to bring you additional functional medicine labs in the future. I really am. Like this is something that I'm super passionate about for myself. And as we keep moving into more anti-aging based work that we're doing, again, like the stuff we're doing is really advanced, super advanced, but we're taking it from an Ayurvedic based perspective that we started talking about this week, right on Tuesday, and we're going to be continuing to use in the future. So my practice in like the next 30 years of my practice is honestly blending the best of ancient Ayurvedic and also traditional Chinese medicine, other philosophies as well, with state-of-the-art lab testing. So I'm going to help you find out what you're deficient in. I'm going to help you find out what your toxicities are, and then I'm going to use it from a lifestyle-based perspective, nutritional supplements, food-based, everything that we talk about in the Rain Barrel Effect, customize that for you so that you can live your best life. That's what it's all about. So if I can help you get a strong body and a strong mind, that's what it's all about. Because you're going to live longer, but yes, you're going to live with a better attitude. And your body's not going to be broken down. It's not going to be hurting you. So you're going to want to accomplish so much more in your life. And again, what could that be? Well, your passions, right? Or grandkids in the future, like all of those things. That's what we're working on. That's what we need to start doing now, though. So that's what we're doing today. And that's the amazing thing. You can test all of these things. Number one test for this, thyroid adrenal hormone. I, of course, will link that up today at stephencabral.com/903. Literally, simple saliva sample with a little finger poke to get a couple blood drops. That's it for thyroid. Because remember, not everything can be tested from one specific parameter. Saliva is great for cortisol, testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, progesterone, but not great for thyroid. We need to actually get some blood work, and that's just with a finger poke. That's it. Super simple. You can do it right at home, and you can test your thyroid. On that same lab test, it tests your insulin levels, hemoglobin A1C for blood sugar, and it will look at your vitamin D, so important as well. Look at TSH, T4, and TPO antibodies. Okay, let's move on to iodine. So, what depletes iodine? Okay, we know it's important, but what depletes iodine? Well, drinking chlorine-based water, so swimming in a chlorine pool, drinking water that contains fluoride. So, if you drink tap water, or you're drinking ice cubes, having ice cubes melt in your drink, you're getting fluoride and you're getting chlorine. Both of those things can really cause dysfunction in your gut bacteria as well because they've been shown to kill bacteria. Now, it's good, right? They're killing bacteria in our water. I get it. I understand. Fantastic. However, not good for our bodies, right? Good for not getting bacteria, but not good for our bodies. Ideally, you're drinking fresh spring water or you're using a really good filter, right? You're using a good filter that gets rid of fluoride and that gets rid of chlorine. You can go to stephencabral.com/podcasts. Just type in water filter. You'll see my 4 levels of water filter recommendations. Again, no stake in any of these companies, and they give you price ranges from under $50 all the way up to $1,500 for a whole house filter. Check those out. I try to do everything, at every different price range. So chlorine and fluoride, they wipe out iodine. They also block some of the receptors in the thyroid as well because they're competing. And so does smoking. Being in an environment where there is smoke, those matter as well. And then sometimes, not often, only in susceptible people, raw cruciferous vegetables, right? Like your broccoli, your raw kale, your raw cauliflower, your raw Brussels sprouts. Best to cook those. It really is. I honestly believe that. I think you're going to get more nutrition out of broccoli, cauliflower, and kale if you cook them, and they're not going to have those same goitrogen-based properties. So that's a recommendation that I would give you. They're just so much easier to digest. They really are. And you're going to get more out of them, as I said. How much do you need a day? Well, in iodine, you're going to need somewhere between 90 and 290 micrograms, right? For younger kids, 90 micrograms. For older adults, especially women that are pregnant, you're going to want to get a full 290 micrograms daily. That's micro, not milligrams, but micrograms, with an upper limit of about 2,000 milligrams per day. Above that, they've shown issues with kidneys, other issues as well. But again, that's a lot of iodine. You're really not going to get that unless you're supplementing. Where do most people get it from? Well, table salt, iodized table salt. That's a problem in and of itself because iodized table salt typically contains aluminum. You do not want to be putting heavy metals in your body. And it's been bleached. You don't want to put bleached salt in your body as well. So keep taking in your sea salt, your Himalayan sea salt, your rock salt, your Celtic sea salt, your whatever you like, the Redmond's real salt, all of those are great. Let me give you some food-based sources, okay? So food-based sources of iodine are seaweed of all kind. I've talked about that before. Wakame is a great one, but one of my favorites is just nori crinkles. You can buy those at your favorite health food store. You can just put them over a rice bowl that you might be making. You can put them over a salad. absolutely delicious. Sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on that, a little olive oil, so good. Good to go, really. It's fantastic. Cod, let's see what else. Baked potatoes, cranberries, raw milk. Like, I know people don't have a lot of access to raw milk, nor am I recommending it in most cases. If you're going to drink raw milk, I would go more towards sheep or goat, and that's even more difficult to get. Shrimp has a good amount of iodine. Navy beans, prunes, believe it or not. Eggs have a decent amount of iodine, but really the only high-level sources are going to be things like some type of raw milk, cranberries, baked cod, seaweed. So what are the easiest things to get? Well, just, again, those nori crinkles, sprinkle right over there. Those seaweed snacks, as long as they're organic, they're not contaminated, fantastic. And then throw in a couple cranberries. Honestly, like, just a handful of cranberries in your smoothie in the morning, that blueberry, the purple crush smoothie that I recommend. Again, if you haven't downloaded my smoothie report, simply go to stevencabral.com/podcast. Click on any podcast you want. Scroll down the page. You'll see a graphic for the free smoothie report. There's also a podcast that goes along with that as well. Purple Crush smoothie. That's what I do pretty much every single morning. And I will throw some cherries in that. I love cherries, especially this time of the year. I'm in Maine this week on vacation. I'm literally eating, no exaggeration, cherries every single day. Every single day, about a half hour before my lunch, I've been having a big bowl of cherries. One of my favorite things to eat, especially this time of the year. But you can buy frozen cherries and you pop them right in that. I'll do that sometimes. Same with cranberries. Cranberries, super high in antioxidants and phytonutrients. All right, last part, other ways to get iodine that most people it just makes sense for. And it's something that I do myself. And that's I use the daily nutritional support shake every single morning. That's obviously what I put in my smoothie. 2 scoops of that. And what does it contain? Well, of course, it contains iodine, right? Iodine, it only makes sense. 150 micrograms. So you've already got more than half of the iodine that you need for the day right in the daily nutritional support shake. So easy to do. You can also get it in the daily activated multivitamin. I will link both of those up today at stevencabral.com/903. And one other product that is literally one of our best sellers is called the Daily Thyroid Support. But the Daily Thyroid Support is something we've been using in our practice now. It's going on, I would say, 5 years. And what it's allowed us to do is help people with thyroid issues in general. So those suffering from lower levels of thyroid. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that your body is oftentimes missing the minerals that I talked about on Wednesday's show that I alluded to. And sometimes it's low selenium, because you have to understand is a lot of times people are low in iodine. They're getting enough selenium, but they're low in iodine. And the reason is that they're using a lot of that selenium up to recycle iodine. A lot of people don't know that, but selenium is a recycler of iodine. And that's why, like, vitamin C, same thing. Like, it doesn't get it always known as the most powerful, but vitamin C recycles a lot of the other antioxidants in the body, such as glutathione and vitamin E. And for me, that's why, a lot of these ones that don't get the credit they deserve are really selenium, zinc, vitamin C. And that's because they are recyclers of other vitamins that may be more powerful than them, but it's their job to make them even better. So in that daily thyroid support, we added all of the synergistic benefits that the thyroid needs, everything from the vitamin A, C, E that we spoke about, the zinc. We added some really powerful Ayurvedic-based herbs in there, such as ashwagandha. I mean, so phenomenal. And then we put in iodine. So we put in potassium iodine, which is a functional medicine form of iodine itself, completely natural, and that's 200 micrograms in the 4 capsule serving. So again, we get really phenomenal results with that. If you're thinking that you might be low thyroid because you have a lot of those symptoms that we just spoke about earlier for low iodine, well, you can simply run that thyroid adrenal hormone test, and then we can bring those levels back up just by using the daily nutritional support as well as the daily thyroid support. Now, of course, you can always just use the nutritional supplements, and I'm not trying to prevent you from doing that. But a lot of times people like to have the data in front of them, and that's great as well. So my job is just to present you with the information and then present you with options. Then it's your job to do whatever you feel is best for your body. So hopefully today's show was helpful. Love being able to bring you all of this information. In my world, this is always very exciting. Truly enjoy it. I hope you have an amazing weekend coming up. And ideally, I would love for you to tune in this weekend for our Cabral House Calls. Each and every weekend, we're answering all of our community's questions, everything from low thyroid or autoimmune, or maybe it's mentorship-based things like, hey, how can I become a health coach? How can I get the most out of my health coaching? Or it could be anything from mindset and motivation. We answer it all on these Cabral House Calls each and every weekend. We try to get to about 8 questions or so per show, and that's Saturdays and Sundays. Would love for you to tune in. Thank you again, everyone. Have an amazing weekend, and as always, check out the show notes today at StephenCabral.com/903. Do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to StephenCabral.com/rain barrel.